Welcome to the Aledo Bearcats Coaches Show podcast, a presentation of Real Country 92.1 Hank FM. Live from Boo Rays in New Orleans and Hudson Oaks, the Aledo Bearcats Coaches Show podcast is brought to you by H5 Sports Barn in Aledo and Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth. And now, here's the voice of the Bearcats, Kevin Lonnquist.
We welcome you to the Aledo Coaches Show podcast. I'm Kevin Lonnquist, coming to you from Boo Rays of New Orleans in Hudson Oaks. They also have locations in Lake Worth and Crowley. We also want to recognize our presenting sponsors in H5 Sports Barn in Aledo and Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth. This is the perfect time to come to Boo Rays of New Orleans. It is Mardi Gras week. Mardi Gras on Tuesday, of course. And if you really do like Cajun food, this is the ideal place to be here in Parker County. Want to remind you that there is no podcast next week on March the 10th because Aledo will be on spring break. And then we will be back on March the 17th. This is going to be a fun podcast. Soccer and swimming on the docket today. Boys and girls soccer teams are winding down their seasons. This is the final week of the regular season. Both teams have clinched playoff berths. The girls for the 24th consecutive season in as many seasons that this program has been established. The boys for the 23rd year out of 24 seasons. The boys are looking for their 10th district championship. The girls are chasing their first district championship of so many that they've secured over the years, but their first since 2020. Now each is chasing that District 5-5A title. They could wrap that up as early as Tuesday. Swimming just wrapped up its season down at the state meet in Austin a couple of weeks ago. Our first segment, we will be joined by girls soccer coach Bryan Johnson and boys coach Vierling. The second segment will be swimming coach Meghan Roberson, her daughter Haley Roberson, who will be off to the University of Idaho, so she's going to be a vandal, if you will, and then we'll be joined by Victoria Cruz. All right, our first segment here is the soccer coaches join me. The Lady Cats are 13-4, 8-2 in District 5-5A. They're scheduled this week. Home to Granbury on Tuesday, then they're at Azle on Friday. The Bearcats are 12-3-2 and 8-1-1 in 5-5A. They are at Granbury on Tuesday and home to Azle on Friday. Gentlemen, thank you all for being here. And first of all, congratulations. I guess as much as we talk about Aledo being successful in all of its sports, I don't think soccer gets as much recognition and as much appreciation for what these programs have done over the years. Again, congratulations to you both. Derek, just talk about what this season has been like for you guys.
Thank you. It's been pretty exciting. We had a good year last year and coming off of a first-round playoff win against Arlington Heights, and it's carried over. We had most of our team returning from last year, and it's been very exciting. The kids work great together, and the games that we lost were some really tough games in 6A, and then we lost one to Brewer in district, and we tied Brewer the second go-around. So it's been a lot of fun this year, especially for me personally, being as sick as I was the last couple of years.
Right.
Coming back from those health issues, and it's just been, Efren Martinez, our JV coach, has been a huge help, and then Bryan helping out. It's just been a lot of fun. Sure.
And then, Bryan, for you this year, what's this season been like for you guys as you're trying to make a push toward capturing a district championship? The playoff berth already secured.
Yeah, the girls this year have just been playing outstanding. We've changed up a few things. Obviously, we're really young. We've got several freshmen and sophomores that are very important parts of the team, scoring goals. Defensively, we're pretty senior heavy. So it's been a transition year for the girls, but they're playing lights out right now.
Okay, so let's just talk about where this season might have clicked. You talked about, Derek, maybe early in the season where you played so many 6A teams, but was it any of those games, maybe even the ones that you lost, where you sensed there was something special about this group to where you had a shot to maybe push for the District 5-5A title, and then here you are on the cusp of doing so?
I think when we played Weatherford earlier in the year, we beat them pretty handily, and I think it was kind of showing the boys that they could do it, and the way it went down, scored 6 goals against them. We've averaged right at 3.5 goals a game this season, and it helps when you score a lot and don't get scored on very much.
Right.
And so it's I think that was kind of the pivot point when we beat up on Weatherford. So
And that's always a good thing, too, when you're going against Parker County teams.
That's
too,
right.
that there's always
Exactly.
some bragging rights in there. Brian, for you guys, same thing for you. Because Derek just talked about they're averaging 3.5 goals a game. You're just a little over 3 goals a game. So what's been maybe a certain part of the season that's been important for where you all are in this position right now?
You know, honestly, I think for our girls, I think it was just getting back, getting ready and playing. That first tournament there that we were in Burleson, you know, we took it on the chin that first game, and since then the girls have been like, nah, that's not going to happen again. You know, and we obviously had the snow and the cold, and it kind of ruined our plans as far as our tournament weekend.
Right.
And I think that we kind of grew from that because we were able to just be together. I know that, you know, having a young team, it's a lot of times it's difficult to you know, figure it all out, where they're going, how they're doing. The Weatherford game, you know, Weatherford came in as the #1 team in the state, and you know, we held on and really had a really good game against them. They beat us 1-0. So I think, you know, from that game we've built up from that point on, and you know, obviously we've done really well in district and keep pushing.
Yeah, and Weatherford still hasn't lost this year, too. I
Yeah,
mean, they've had one draw, but
Yep.
other than that, they've had a. So, I mean, those kinds of things can be measuring sticks to see where are we as a program? How are we when we're going against a team? And especially, it might speak to you more the deeper you get into the season and the kind of season that they're having.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping is that as we keep pushing forward, and especially in this playoff run, you know, the other night we had a really good game versus Saginaw, and you know, I'm hoping that will, you know, kind of light the girls up, if you will. You know, I was fortunate enough to win my 300th career game Friday night, and we had a big celebration. The girls were like all in. I mean, it was a really great night. I'm hoping that pushes us through into that playoff run.
All right, individually, since a lot of people may not know some of the highlighted players on your teams, Derek, let's just start with some of your guys who have had individual standout seasons. I'll get to your keepers here in just a moment for each of you, but let's just talk about both on as far as the offense is concerned, and then who's been really good on the defense, maybe your sweeper or something like that. Just kind of shine the light on a few names, if you would.
I think Austin Rander Mahefa sitting over there. I mean, he's having a breakout season, tearing off from last year. Last year he had 24 goals and 24 assists, and this year he's got 15 goals and 10 assists, and he's doing just a great job controlling the midfield and kind of the quarterback, if you will, or point guard for our team. Sets everything up, and it's really helping with Trapper Davis. He's also got 15 goals, and it helped that Brody Gill's come back from injury. I mean, he's scored quite a few goals just in the last couple of games, and that's a good thing. We're scoring a lot of goals, and we've got 3 guys that are doing it, and then they've got 3 or 4 others that are right behind them. And it's tough when you get deep in the playoffs. If you shut down one player, not too many teams can have the ability to shut down 2 or 3, and I think we've got 3 really standout goal scorers. And defensively, Hunter Waugh has been rock solid for 3 years for us, and he had a sprained ankle, missed 3 or 4 games, but he's back, and he's just controls the defense in the back. I mean, he dictates everything. He communicates with everybody, and he does a great job back there. I mean, we've had some injuries at center back, and with Trent and Peyton both got hurt for the season, and so we've had to move a few guys around a little bit. And Austin's little brother, Evan, is doing a great job as a sophomore, playing center back with Hunter, and the 2 of them have really done well. I mean, defensively, we're giving up less than a goal a game. And that's a good combination, scoring 3.5 and giving up less than 1. So it's been really good with those kids in there.
I've noticed too. Yeah, when I've looked at your game-by-game scores this year, there's a lot of nil attached to the opponent's score. Brian, what about for your team? Some individuals, some ladies that have really shined for you all this year, both on the offensive end and then maybe protecting the net.
Yeah, Allie Weimer right off the bat. She's, you know, last year standout freshman. Right now she's sitting with 10 goals and 8 assists in district. Has just been playing outstanding up front. And I've been able to move her up front because I've got a freshman in Avery Sands who has really kind of stepped up and taken the mantle of, you know, I'm going to take care of the midfield. I'm going to get the ball, distribute. I really feel like we might have the best midfield trio in our district for sure, with Katie Cox and Reese Harts. I mean, those three girls work the entire game. Katie's winning balls, putting them right back into the mix. And then outside, Abigail Cates, a little freshman that has really kind of taken over the left side of the midfield. And then obviously in the back, Lily Gideon has been playing center back for us. And, I mean, she has been playing lights out. She has basically helped us get to the point to where we've had several shutouts this year. And then obviously you can't ever forget Emery Thompson and Reagan Tomlin, both senior captains, and a couple of girls that have just really controlled the back and are not afraid to get forward and get in the mix. I mean, they've got a couple of goals, got a couple of assists as well. So, I think all in all, it's just a team effort all the way around. It's one of the smallest teams. And when I say small, I mean by number-wise.
Right.
We've been running with 18 girls this year and 2 keepers, so we've been having 16 field players. So, they're putting in a lot of work, and there's a lot of good girls out there on that field.
All right, so let's just talk about the keepers here, Derek. Let's start with your keeper. Who's been minding the net back there, and what have you seen from that position so far?
Pierce is returning from last year. He played 5 games as a sophomore, and then he's been our number 1 this year. He got hurt on Friday, but hopefully he'll be back in time for the playoffs. But he's got a real good command. He's been punting the ball. Matter of fact, he got an assist off one of his punts this year.
Nice.
And,
okay.
He's got a long punt for sure, and he's doing really well. He's making some great saves. I mean, luckily we've got such a great defense that he hadn't seen a lot of shots. I think he's got 41 saves on the year, which is pretty low from a save standpoint. But I mean, a lot of that is a testament to our defense. One of the guys that I should have mentioned, Cole Crawford, sitting over there. He's was a forward last year, and we've moved him back to the back line, and he's been our defensive player of the year, defensive player of the week several times.
I know that guy, by the way.
He's
all right.
Yeah,
kicker in football, and then he's done really well this year, or all 4 years. But he's sacrificed his position, being a goal scorer, and so it gives us a really strong attack from the back line, which is different from some teams we've had. So I think he'll end up probably contributing a goal or 2 in the playoffs, playing in the back. But I think with Pierce back there, it's just he's solid. And, makes me feel really comfortable with the number of shutouts. I think he's got 6 on the year so far. And there's been several games where he's only given up 1 goal. I think he has 8 goals given up on the season. And then we've got a couple other guys back him up, Mark Graham and Drew Vose. They'll fill in this week while he's hurt and get some experience and be ready to go in case something happens in the playoffs.
Okay, and then Bryan, for you in the net.
So for us, we've got Ava Fennell, who's our senior goalkeeper, and then Audrey Obana, our freshman goalkeeper. Audrey's really kind of stepped up. She's taken over the starting role, if you will. Ava has been, a really solid individual for us. She's definitely helped Audrey grow, kind of teaching her the high school game because it's different than the club side. And I know in the last few games, Audrey has she's at 5.5 clean sheets. So I mean, we're really kind of pushing that situation there. I know that we've given up 10 goals and we've given up a couple of goals where I'm like, man, wish we would have, not made that happen. But when you get caught, you get caught, and we're kind of growing, and having that freshman keeper in there, she's learning every game. But having that senior there to back her up and support her has been really good for the team, really good for the kids, because Ava's she's a natural leader. I mean, she's a good kid.
You know, you mentioned a few moments ago about picking up your 300th career win as a head coach, and obviously you guys took care of business against Saginaw last Friday, 9-0. What was that night like for you? I know you mentioned a lot of family there, but as you were building toward that milestone, what was that like once you finally reached it?
You know, it was one of those games where you're just like, I thought the girls were going to go out and perform, but the way they performed, it was just amazing, you know. And then that evening, you know, and seeing the family and the friends and the coaches and the other people who've been a part of your life for a long time coming across the field and celebrating with you and celebrating with the girls, you know, it was a really neat experience, and it was one of those things where I'll never forget it, you know, and you'll never forget that game. You'll never forget the score. You'll never forget the kids that were there, part of it, and, you know, what they did to basically secure that victory.
And for you, too, also I would imagine some emotions, because this is it for you. This is your farewell season. You're going to wrap it up whenever your season ends, and we hope that's deep into April.
Hopefully
that would be down
about April 15th.
Yeah, down in
That'd
Georgetown.
Be awesome. Yes, sir.
But for you, what led to the decision to say that I'm ready to call it a career?
I think just in talking with my wife and stuff, it was just one of those deals where we've kind of given and given and given, and you know, it was just time. I know I'm going to miss the coaching aspect of it. I know I'm going to miss the girls. That was the hardest decision. You know, obviously teaching and being in the classroom is a part of what we have to do as high school coaches. If there was a way they could work it out that I have to do that, then I probably never leave, if we're going to be honest. But, you know, you've got to do that part, and it's starting to kind of wear on me.
Right.
So, you know, sometimes you gotta look at yourself and go, okay, it's time for somebody else to step in and take this team to the next, whatever that next step is. Because it's hard to say in Aledo. I mean, 24 years in a row you've been to the playoffs. I mean, it's like, wow. It's impressive. This place is impressive.
I mean, these playoff runs, when we talk about the football team's playoff run, what is it, 29 consecutive years that they've made the playoffs. But, I mean, this is the streak, what you two have put together for these programs. Doesn't get enough attention for what you all did. So you all deserve a lot of adulation and congratulations for that. Let's talk a little bit about, you know, the weird thing about the soccer season is, of course, is that spring break will spring up either toward the end of your regular season or before your playoffs start. So there's that 1 week break. And you guys have had to deal with this for as long as you've been coaching the sport. Now, for you all, maybe there is the benefit that your regular season ends this week, and then you get the week off, and then you know your playoffs will start. Well, how do you all strategically use that time off to get ready for the playoffs? Obviously, you guys have to try and wrap up your district titles first to know what your playoffs are like. But what's that spring break week going to be like? Because I know your players want to get out of Dodge for a few days and that sort of thing too.
Yeah, it's this year with every team in our district had the same spring break, so we agreed to finish a week early. We're just going to let the kids take some time to recoup and rest. I mean, they all play club soccer, and so they play so many games that sometimes taking 4 or 5 days off is not a bad thing. And, you know, the drawback is going 2 weeks without playing a game. But I don't want to schedule a game the week right before the playoffs. You know, that you tend to have bad things happen when those situations occur. So it's just going to be a situation where we let them take some time off, you know, and we're both actually going to be going to New York for vacation over spring break. My son lives up there, and he's going up there. It was just random. We didn't realize we were both going.
It's going to be pretty cool, yeah.
And so, you know, if everybody's in town, you know, I'll come up there and throw some balls out. And we'll have a little kick around or something first couple days of spring break. But if they go on vacation, we let them go and just be kids.
And I think from the most part, like with the boys and girls, I mean, playing club, there'll probably be tournaments. There'll be some spring break. There'll be some kind of something that they're involved with, you know. And as far as that weekend after we get done with our season Friday, I mean, we can go up there and practice or do whatever for a couple of days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if somebody's around. But for the most part, you know, we found this year, and I think Might be because we're getting older. I don't know, but
And we're all getting older.
yeah. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I mean, sometimes practice is too much. I mean, you can over practice at times. So I've found this year kind of backing off with the girls and doing stuff outside of the game of soccer. It's been really good. So.
And you all, and both of you can kind of speak to this as we start to wind this down, but I would imagine, because all coaches of any sport, the deeper you get into the season, maybe the intensity and perhaps equally as much the length of your practices draw back a little bit, come back a little bit. They're not as long, they're not as intense, because all the heavy lifting was done in the preseason part, maybe the first month of the season. And there is such a thing, too, about keeping your players' legs, especially for you all when you have so many players that are playing in club, because you don't want them to run out there in mid-March for a playoff game and they got nothing to give you when they're running up and down the field like that. Yeah. Derek, you can speak to that
and
first.
that kind of happened to us last year. That the Dallas Cup was going on during our playoffs last year, and we had several players that played games on Monday. We had a playoff game on Tuesday. They played games on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we played a playoff game. And it was just, you could kind of tell they were really tired.
Yeah.
And so it's something that luckily Dallas Cup is after state this year, and so we don't have to run into that situation. But it's I mean, sometimes they just need to relax a little bit, you know, and I think, as Bryan says, the older we've gotten, the more we've realized that it's not, 2 hours every day, you know, running and gunning and getting after it. So sometimes there's just go out and have a nice, easy recovery type practice, stay in the weight room, maintain, strength in the weights, and keep the kids fresh so that we can go into March and be fresh and not overworked.
Yeah. Same plan for you, Bryan?
Oh yeah, we practice every day. I mean, we're in the morning, so we'll go in. We'll start up about 8 o'clock and be done at 8:50. So I mean, we're getting like 50 minutes every day. Well, that's plenty of time. And we try to hit the weight room on Wednesdays just to kind of keep up what we've built up since May, because we have our whole summer workout and everything like that. Right. So I mean, it's. You build it. You don't want to just tear it down, And so we've been really taking care of that part. So it's been good.
Finally, what can you share with us about the opening round of the playoffs? I mean, obviously, nothing's settled yet because you still have to try and claim the top seed, and there's also Division I and Division II in soccer too. Right. So, and we know Aledo is going to be Division I because heck, you guys, this school missed going up to 6A by like 8 students, so we already know where you guys are going to go as Division I. So, any idea though how those playoffs, what you're looking at in terms of your opening round matchup? Bryan, I'll start with you, and what it looks like at this point.
Well, as of right now, it looks like it's going to be Birdville. If Birdville holds off the Grapevines and the Colleyvilles, they should sit right in there. So Colleyville will go as the first place big school, and then Birdville would be the second, which would be our game, hopefully.
Okay.
So it'll be a very competitive matchup. Always is. Yep. Birdville's a really good team, good squad. So I'm looking forward to it, though, if that's where we land.
And then for you, Derek, what does it look like for you?
Well, we our first goal this year was to be the number 1 seed in big school, and we clinched that. And then the second goal was district championship, and we're real close to clinching that with 5 points ahead of second place. We just need 1 point in our next 2 games. So if we get the district championship and the number 1 seed, then we've accomplished 2 goals. And right now, play the second seed out of that Colleyville district, and it's neck and neck between Richland and Colleyville. And they actually play on March 10th. On Monday is their last game, and they play each other. And I think it's going to come down to whoever wins that game is going to be the second seed for Division I. Denton is the first seed in Division I, so we'll match up with either Colleyville or Richland.
And I would suspect there might be a head coach from Aledo scouting that game too.
Definitely. I've been lucky enough
Might be somebody there
to see them both already this year on our bye and on rain cancellation, and so I got to see them both play, and so I'm gonna get a chance to see them both again. So. We'll figure it out.
All right.
So.
Well, we're looking forward to it, gentlemen. Listen, first of all, congratulations on making the playoffs again and again.
Yes, sir.
And we wish you nothing but the best of luck wrapping up the District 5-5A titles. Obviously, it's a great thing that you all have accomplished this year, Bryan. And Derek, we'll look to have you guys back once your seasons are over.
Okay.
And as you said, probably what we're really looking forward to is like maybe that Monday after,
yes,
like what is it, like the 17th, 18th of April.
Yeah,
I think if we do that,
That'd
I
be
think
awesome.
that would be a great thing to do there on that. So we would look forward to that. But regardless, we'll have you guys back to wrap up your seasons as successful as they've been. Again, the boys and the girls teams will be playing both Granbury and Azle this week. Hopefully they can wrap up the District 5-5A title. We want to remind you that this Aledo podcast is brought to you by H5 Sports Barn. And H5 Sports Barn and Nye Physio and Performance can help unlock your athletic potential and elevate your game like the Aledo Bearcats. With expert sports physical therapy, tailored recovery plans, and top-notch sports performance training, H5 Sports Barn, proud supporters of the Aledo Bearcats. We're also brought to you by Hiley Mazda. Head to Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth today. Their new state-of-the-art facility is conveniently located just off of I-30. Exit Las Vegas Trail and experience top-notch service and hassle-free buying. Don't forget to ask about this month's special offers. Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth, family-owned and operated for over 30 years. Stick around. The second segment of our podcast continues. We're going to talk some swimming here. Head coach Meghan Roberson, her daughter Haley Roberson, and Victoria Cruz. Podcast continues following this timeout. And we welcome you back to the Aledo Coaches Show podcast. I'm Kevin Lonnquist. Before we get into our second segment with the swimming team, a couple of Aledo notables to let you know about. This might be the podcast where I keep chasing coaches off. I forced Bryan into retirement over there, so that congratulations to me on that, Bryan Johnson. But also, boys basketball coach Bryan Blackburn, great opportunity for him. He's only at Aledo for 1 year, but he has an opportunity to coach in college. He will be heading to an NAIA school. That'll be called Florida College down in Tampa. He directed the Bearcats to a 27-7 record in the first ever district championship. Again, we wish Bryan Blackburn nothing but the best for him, and he'll be taking that job here in the not-so-distant future. So the Aledo boys basketball coach will be open for athletic director Brandy Belk to find a replacement. And then one note about the spring football season. That will begin on Monday, April the 14th, and the spring game is scheduled for Wednesday, May the 14th at Tim Buchanan Stadium. Okay, we are happy to be joined. It is the swimming segment of the Aledo Coaches Show podcast. We are joined by head coach Meghan Roberson, her daughter Haley Roberson, and Victoria Cruz. Both of these fine young ladies are going to be swimming in college at the next level. Always a great thing when you can take your talents to that next level. Haley's going to be swimming at the University of Idaho. Victoria will be down in Texas at at the Southwestern University down in Georgetown. Thank you all for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the state meet, which was down on February 20th through the 22nd at the Jamale, Texas Swimming Center on the University of Texas campus. Coach, just give us an update as to how the meet itself went, what you all took out of it, how you all finished, things of that nature.
So this is our fourth year running where these girls have both made it to state. They've gone freshman year on, which is not a small accomplishment. To be a freshman and headed to state is a big deal in the state of Texas, especially at the 5A, 6A levels. So for these girls to be back there 4 years in a row takes a lot of work on their part. It's not just high school swim, it's club swim. They're rarely out of the water. Mm-hmm. So we had our major state meet down in Austin, and with this, in order to qualify there's several different pauses we have to hit. So we have our regular season, and our regular season actually starts at the end of September, and it'll run until February. We have an extensive season. these kids are waking up 5:30 in the morning, meeting me at the parking lot at school, and getting on a bus and going in all the way to Fort Worth to find water. We don't have pool here in Parker County, so we have a very early morning and early water in Fort Worth. So it's a lot of time, it's a lot of dedication that they put in to get to that point. This is the best year that we've had at state for these girls. Their freshman year, I don't think we made it back to finals. I think
No, we just had prelims. Two
Yeah.
relays, but just prelims.
So they'll swim prelims on Friday, and then if you're a top 16, you make it back to finals on Saturday.
Okay.
With this year, we took the girls 4 free and 2 free relays, both qualified. We just narrowly missed. We pulled out 17th in the 4 free relay, and then 13th in the 2 free relay. 2 free relay this year, they set the school record by about a second and a half at that state final race. And then we had Haley qualified this year in the 200 individual medley and the 500 freestyle. She took 8th place in 500 freestyle. This is the first year she's made it back for A finals. And then she took 6th place in the 200 individual medley.
Great, wonderful. I want to ask you both, Victoria as well as Haley, about the accomplishment of getting back to the state because of what your coach just mentioned. Just the grind. It's a grind. I kind of compare swimming kind of like cross country. Like cross country runners, you either want to do it or you don't. There's no in between on this. Can you speak to what this has been like to at least have that opportunity to go back for 4 years? Because that's no small feat, as your coach mentioned.
Well, you compared it to cross country. I did cross country my freshman year. It is hard, but we swim twice a day, 4 days a week, once on Saturdays, 6 to 8 in the mornings, 5 to 7:30 at night. Like, it is a lot of work to be able to put into swimming. And high school swim is not easy. We go against a lot of 6A schools in the regular season, and that gives us a lot of confidence when we do well against those swim teams. It's like, wow, we actually have a chance to do well in 5A as well. And district and regionals is just, I think for this year, it was just relieving and just like, oh my God, like I made it here. I'm going to put in all my work that I can to make it to state, especially at finals and regionals. And it's very emotional.
I can imagine that. And then for you, Haley, just talk about what this has been like to get to Austin, because you know I-35 like the back of your hand, I suppose. And so.
Yeah, a little bit. It's just amazing being able to make it back all 4 years, and it's such an accomplishment because Texas swimming is so hard, especially once you get into high school and you have these really big 5A schools that do this for a living. And so to be able to say, yeah, I made it to state in Texas for 4 years is absolutely incredible. Not to mention, like, all the memories I have from going to state is fantastic, too.
Okay, so let's just talk about the specialties. Victoria, I want to start with you. Just take us through like your specialties, the events that you've mastered over the years.
Well, I'm considered a butterflyer, but I also do sprint freestyle. That just means a lot of training butterfly and free and mainly doing sprint workouts. I am almost the complete opposite of Haley, where she does distance and the 500. I can barely last a 200 in the water. But it's just a lot of hard work, a lot of working on like breathing and technique and things, because technique is the basis of everything. And if you don't have good technique, you can't sprint.
Right.
And sprinting is obviously, like in any sport you do, it's the toughest competition because everybody's fast. You just have to be that much faster.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. It's kind of like the 40-yard dash too in track, where it's all about the start too, because if you don't get off the jump very quickly, you're going to have a problem here. And it's like from one end of the pool to the other, and that's it.
Yeah.
And just, can you talk about what is it? I might have been wrong in my assessment on that in terms of the start, but it seems to me like it has to be about the start. You tell me.
Well, I think the start is definitely really important. If you don't get that good reaction time to the start, like, you're almost screwed. But I think the second thing is your walls. If you slip on your wall, you're almost done for on like a 50 or 100, because your 50 is, for me, it's 25 seconds. So if I slip on a wall, that's automatically a second or more gone. So I go from third to last easily. So like your start and then your walls and then just holding out to the finish. You know, you got to win by 0.2 of a second just if you decide to straighten your hand into the wall or not.
It's all about if your fingertip was able to touch just
Yeah.
ahead of the other person. Let's talk to Aledo's version of Katie Ledecky here. And so, but for you, just in terms of just what was the attraction to these long events, and what made you want to do it?
Honestly, I think it was just my coach throwing me in at every single meet one year.
And you got to live with her too.
Not
No,
this coach.
this was when I was
Okay,
an
good.
age group swimmer. I was
Okay.
like, oh gosh, maybe 10.
Okay.
Every single meet I went to, I was in the 500, and so I think it was just my coach beating it into me of you will be a distance swimmer, you will have fun with it, and so eventually I just became comfortable with like how long it was and how painful, I guess, that it just kind of stuck around. And so to be able to call a 500 a sprint in my eyes is funny to a lot of people, especially Victoria saying she is a sprinter with the 50 and all that. To be like, oh yeah, no, my 500's easy compared to like the 1,000 or the mile that I have to swim, which is like 16 to 10 minutes sometimes. So that's just really fun to be like, yeah, I can do these hard events and then have it work out really well in college too.
And you were going to say, Coach.
We like to, when we talk with like our football players and classmates, you know, it's always fun to equate their workouts to how many football fields they swim. So Haley races 5 football fields, and she does it in about 5 minutes.
That's a great comparison, by the way.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so, and their average workouts.
Are we talking about the end zones too, or are we talking just goal line to goal line?
Yeah, goal line to goal line.
Okay.
Goal line to goal line.
Okay.
So yeah, but you know, 500 yards in 5 minutes, 5 minutes 3 seconds is her school record.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and then we look at like our practices and where like the Aledo swimmers will typically do around 35,
35?
about 35,
32 on
yards.
on like a low day.
Yeah, but then we look at like the ones who swim the Aledo or they swim practice in the morning and then go in the afternoon, and they're looking at upwards of 10,000 yards in a day.
Okay, so ladies, take me through the training part of this, because since you all are polar opposites in terms of your swimming events, I mean, let's start with you on this, Victoria, about since you are a sprinter, 5,100, and you know, I know you said you were gasping for breath at the 200, but what's it been like? So what kind of training do you have? And then Haley, I'll come to you about this. And like, is it a different kind of training versus what she does?
Well, we both swim for the same club team under the same coach, so we typically do the same workouts. We have a set schedule where we do distance one day, medley the next, and sprint the next day, and we repeat that. But whenever we go to split things with distance and sprinting, I obviously do sprint, Haley does the distance part. It's just a lot of interval training and a lot of, like on a sprint day, we do a lot of short yards, but like
High intensity.
high
Yeah, I was gonna
intensity,
say, you
like
guys tend to go pretty high.
Yeah.
5,
when you
10
guys-
seconds rest maximum, and we're doing that for 50s and 100s, and sometimes lactate where we don't even get to cool down after.
Good old hundreds on an 8 minute, and you just got to sit in that lactic acid.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
the
say-
lactic acid builds and builds, and it's fun.
Yeah, I was going to say your lung capacity though. It's all about lung capacity
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
too. I would imagine.
That, like, lung capacity is huge, especially in the really long events, but also, like, having that for an underwater, too, and keeping it consistent underwater, because there's no oxygen underwater. But,
Our
like,
coach
to be
hammers
able to
it.
hold such a good underwater for such a long time is impressive for anybody, really.
Sure. And then let's just highlights of your careers, ladies. It's just I'll start with you on this, Haley. But just your overall career here at Aledo. What do you think you'll look back on and say this was one of the greatest feelings? It could be this year. Could have been even something that it could have been a regular season back your sophomore year. What do you think it was?
Honestly, I think senior year with all the new freshman girls that we had come up was absolutely fantastic. We had such a great group of freshmen come up, and they love the sport. They want to be there and work so hard.
You can say work their tails
Oh,
off.
okay. Work their tails off. They work their tails off every single day. Like, I think we have a swimmer who hasn't missed a single practice, and it shows. She is a fantastic swimmer, and I think just the memories I have with all these goofy girls is stuff I will take with me to college. And like, I've told Coach, I was like, I'm sad I have to leave them this year because it's such a great group. And then considering it was a hard divide between upperclassmen and lowerclassmen when we first got here. So to see how integrated we've become is huge for how the program will be in the future.
Okay, and then for you, Victoria, what will you take away from your career?
I definitely think, as like Haley said, the relationship that I've built with people in these past 4 years has been really important to me. And I think that going forward in swimming in college, I think that's one of the most important things I can take with me. But also just the hard work that we've put in and that I've put in throughout the 4 years, like ups and downs, you know, like you're never going to have a perfect week or a perfect practice, but it's the determination that I pushed through and like all the things that I had to go through. I think that it really shows in my swimming. Like my sophomore year, I managed to make it to state for an individual. I haven't been able to do that the last 2 years, but it just shows like it's just hard work. I still did really well this year, and I did personal best in almost every event I swam in. So it's just, you just have to work hard. Yeah.
And then the opportunity for both of you. I mentioned obviously that you're both going to be swimming in college. Haley, let's start with you. Idaho, as far as going up there, who were you deciding between Idaho and anybody else, and what made you sign with the Vandals?
The biggest schools that I was really between were the Air Force Academy and School of Mines.
Great schools, by the way.
Both are fantastic, especially academically. They're incredible. And then I kind of went on my Idaho visit like, oh, cool, let's go see what's up there in Idaho. And I got the opportunity to hang out with all the girls and the coaches, and I got to watch them do a swim meet. And I think watching them all participate in that competitive environment against like a hard school was my selling point, was seeing how close they are and all the jokes they have. Because I remember we were walking to the pool and one of the freshmen wasn't wearing her goggles because they do essentially a like a swimmer assassin type thing.
A little bit of haziness, we like to call it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But she was like, oh, no, I don't have my goggles. And she watched one of the girls go by, and she was like, oh, don't get me. And so I think just seeing all the fun little jokes that they had and all the, like, truly, like, how close all the girls were, especially with the coach. Because I heard nothing but good things about the coaching staff and how they are with Mark. And that relationship with the coach was definitely one of the biggest selling points.
It has a strong culture there.
Yeah, and I'll get to that in a second here, Coach. Just real quickly here for you, Victoria. You've committed to Southwestern down in Georgetown. You'll be signing your letter of intent here in the spring, maybe April, something like that. What drove you to that decision? What inspired you?
Well, I was between a couple different schools, Ouachita Baptist, Ithaca College, and VMI. But I went on this tour back in September, just 2 weeks after my birthday, and I was thinking, well, you know, it's not as far as I'd like it, but we'll go see. We'll go see how it is. And me and my mom went down there, and just the campus is beautiful. Georgetown is amazing, and Coach Duncan and like all of the swimming and athletics down there is just it just really spoke to me. And I'm a strong believer in God telling me, you know, like, this is where you're meant to be, like, this is where I want you to go. And so I just think that after a lot of praying, I finally came to the decision that Southwestern was where I wanted to go, and it was the best fit for me.
Well, it's wonderful to hear both of you. Congratulations to you both. Coach, let's just ask you a little bit about, I've always maintained, I'm not saying anything revolutionary here, but I've always felt like, because I've been doing this for 30-some-odd years, though, is that when it's right on the inside, it's usually going to be right on the outside. Inside, you talked about it, Haley, with the culture, and Coach, you spoke to that. Is that if you have that kind of team chemistry where there's that selflessness, where everyone is sacrificing for each other, it's usually going to show up on the court, the pool, the field, that sort of thing. Can you speak to how that impacts swimming?
So culture is huge. We spend a lot of time together. We spend a lot of time on a bus. We spend a lot of time kind of silent in our own thoughts in the lane with each other. And if you don't have a strong culture between the athletes, it shows. And I think the biggest evidence of the culture shift that we've had in the last couple of years has been the records we set in the relays this year. I mean, we set 4 So we have 6 relays that we swim in high school. The 2 medley, the 2 free, and the 4 free. We do it with men, we do it with women. We set 4 records this year, 2 men's, 2 women's. And I think that really comes down to these girls weren't swimming for themselves, these boys weren't swimming for themselves, they were swimming for their team. And they put up some of the strongest swims that I've seen that I don't know that they would be capable of doing swimming just for themselves. But you put them in that environment, they put the Aledo cap on, they want to swim for each other, and big things happened this year.
And then lastly, looking ahead to what you have getting ready for the 25-26 year, it sounds like a lot of youth coming back from this squad. Obviously, some new faces will be coming in next year as well. What kind of excitement level do you have for the 25-26 season?
I have a huge excitement level. It's going to hurt losing these girls. They're fast and they are contributing members to this team. But we've got a really strong class of sophomores, primarily boys. They're strong and they're ones to watch, and they're getting really fast. Boys kind of go through this transition when they hit that 16, 17, 18. It's a different body type they're racing with. It's a lot bigger and it's a lot stronger than a freshman. Mm-hmm. And so to watch these boys kind of come into that just big, strong, fast body, mm-hmm. they're gonna be tough, and they're working real hard, and they've got an eye on, not just making it back in one relay for state next year. They want individuals, and they're hungry. And then we've got this group of freshman girls that we talked about. And, it's funny that we have this divide of sophomore boys and freshman girls. And I've got one sophomore girl who joined with us this year, and she's fabulous and really adds to the culture as well. But we've got this just gaggle of...
I think that's the easiest way to explain them.
Yeah,
of just silly gooses.
They really are, of just freshman girls who really have bonded together themselves. Mm-hmm. And... again, have that hunger to really fight for each other. And that's always the fun thing with high school swimming, is that a lot of these kids all swim club, and it's very individual, and it's very, I want to swim well for me because I want to go to college in these events. But you put them in high school swimming, and they're swimming for a greater good. They're swimming for a team, and it's the only, if they're truly strictly swimmers, it's the only team environment that they'll have the opportunity to compete in.
Of course, yeah.
And so, to watch them really embrace that idea and to go out and swim their best times for Aledo, not just for Haley or for Victoria, it's great to watch, and I think we've got a really strong bunch coming in. We're never really sure what's going to come in with the freshman class. We have a little bit of an idea of what's coming in, but just these freshmen and sophomores currently that'll be sophomores and juniors next year. I think we've got a bright future.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to keeping track of that. Again, to my far left is Haley Roberson. To my right is Victoria Cruz. And to my immediate left is head coach Meghan Roberson of the Aledo Swim Cats. A phenomenal season for them. Ladies, thank you all for joining me here for today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And we want to remind you, too, that this Aledo podcast is brought to you by H5 Sports Barn. H5 Sports Barn and Nye Physio and Performance can help unlock your athletic potential and elevate your game like the Aledo Bearcats. With expert sports physical therapy, tailored recovery plans, and top-notch sports performance training, H5 Sports Barn, proud supporters of the Aledo Bearcats. And by Hiley Mazda. Head to Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth today. Their new state-of-the-art facility is conveniently located just off of I-30. Exit Las Vegas Trail and experience top-notch service and hassle-free buying. Don't forget to ask about this month's special offers. Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth, family-owned and operated for more than 30 years. A reminder again that there will be no podcast for the week of March 10th because of the fact that Aledo ISD will be on its spring break. We will return for the week of March 17th. That'll be when the baseball and softball seasons are underway then. Until then, have a great spring break week for all of you folks with Aledo. I'm Kevin Lonnquist. We'll talk to you then. So long for the Aledo's Coaches Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Aledo Coaches Show podcast, brought to you by H5 Sports Barn in Aledo and Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth. With the voice of the Bearcats, Kevin Lonnquist. Please like and subscribe to this podcast and tell a friend. You're also welcome to join us every Monday night at 7 for Boo Rays of New Orleans and Hudson Oaks. It's the Aledo Coaches Show podcast, a presentation of Real Country 92.1 Hank FM.